In 1978, a man won a date on national TV. But what the audience didn't know was that the charming bachelor was a wanted man. This is Darren's Case Files. In the late 1970s, millions of Americans regularly sat down in front of their televisions to watch a cheerful dating show. The premise was simple. A woman would ask questions of three bachelors. These questions might be funny questions, but she cannot see their faces. They sit behind a wall. The audience laughed as the bachelors tried to impress her with charming answers. It was light-hearted, harmless, just another piece of entertainment. But one episode in 1978 would later become infamous because one of the contestants behind that wall was hiding something far darker than the audience realized. The show was called The Dating Game, and bachelor number one that day was Rodney Alcala. The woman asking the questions was Cheryl Bradshaw. As the questions continued, Alcala gave strange but playful answers. The audience laughed, the host smiled, and when it came time to choose her date, Bradshaw picked bachelor number one, Rodney Alcala. The crowd applauded. Rodney Alcala had just won a date on national television. But the strange part came after the cameras stopped rolling. When Bradshaw finally met Alcala backstage, something about him made her uncomfortable. Later she said he seemed creepy, so she refused to go on the date. Are you the kind of person that sees and feels things? Yeah, I think we all do. At the time it seemed like a simple change of plan, but years later people would realize something chilling, because the charming contestant she had just rejected was already a wanted man. Outside the television studio, Alcala appeared perfectly ordinary. He was intelligent, he was articulate, he studied film at New York University, where he spent time studying under director Roman Polanski. He's up there. But Alcala had another interest, photography. He often approached women in public places like parks or beaches or city streets. Smiling politely, he would ask if he could take their photograph. Sometimes they agreed. Sometimes young girls did too. Years later, thousands of photographs were discovered in his possession. Many showed women, many showed children. Some of the people in the photographs have never been identified. We'll come back to that. Police would later wonder if some of those smiling faces had unknowingly stood in front of a camera belonging to a serial killer. The most disturbing part of Rodney Alcala's story is that by the time he appeared on television, he had already committed a brutal attack. In 1968 in Los Angeles, Alcala lured an 8-year-old girl into his apartment. A witness noticed something suspicious and called police. When officers forced their way inside, they found the child unconscious. She'd been beaten and she'd been strangled, but she was alive. Alcala had already fled. For years afterwards, he moved across the country between California and New York. And during that time, women began disappearing. In 1979, a 12-year-old girl named Robin Samso disappeared riding her bike to Ballyclass in California. Witnesses reported seeing a strange man speaking with her earlier that day. The man had a camera. The description matched Rodney Alcala. When his belongings were searched, they found thousands of photographs. Among the items in his possession was jewelry that belonged to Robin Samso. Soon after, her remains were discovered in the hills outside Los Angeles. Rodney Alcala was arrested. He was convicted of murder in 1980. He received the death penalty. But the legal process became complicated. Convictions were overturned. New trials were ordered. Years passed. Then decades later, forensic science joined the conversation. Testing on preserved evidence using DNA profiling began. Tiny traces left on clothing, hair, and the crime scene items were compared with Alcala's DNA. The results linked him to multiple victims across different states. Cold cases that had sat unsolved for decades suddenly connected to the same man. In 2010, the new DNA evidence is presented in court. This time, the science left little doubt. He received the death penalty. Again, as we've seen, Rodney Alcala was ultimately convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to death. But it's believed the true number of victims may never be known. Because when police searched his belongings, as we said earlier, they discovered more than 1,000 photographs. Many showed women, many showed children. Some people were later identified, many were not. And that leaves a haunting possibility. Some of those photographs may be the only record of victims who were never officially connected to the crime or found. Rodney Alcala died in prison in 2021, taking many answers with him and leaving behind one of the strangest facts in true crime history. A serial killer once appeared on a dating show and won. Until next time.